Good morning, dear students, and welcome to this session. In this particular session, we are going to continue with our discussion of the play Merchant of Venice, Act 1, Scene 3. In the previous class, we had completed till that particular part where when Shylock inquired of Antonio that he had heard Antonio saying that Antonio never makes use of interest while lending or borrowing money from anyone. It is in response to this that Antonio assured Shylock that he has never used the system of lending or borrowing money on interest because it is against his religious practices and it is against the righteous conduct to life which the Christians are supposed to follow. It is at this particular point of time that Shylock goes on to narrate to Antonio Jacob Laban's story in order to justify his charging of interest. So we'll be discussing from this particular part today. So here Shylock says, when Jacob grazed his uncle Laban's sheep, this Jacob from our holy Abraham was, as his wise mother brought in his behalf, the third possessor. He was the third. Now, here let us understand who was Abraham. Abraham was the founder of the Jewish race. Isaac was his son, and Jacob was the son of Isaac. So therefore, Jacob was the grandson of Abraham. Now, during that particular day, there was hierarchy, practice of hierarchy in the society. So when a person died, his eldest son would become the heir to the property. So Jacob was the third in the line of the heirs to the family estates. Why he was the third? Because the first one was Abraham, second one was Isaac, and the third one was Jacob. Actually, Jacob should not have been the third possessor to the family estates because he had an elder brother named Esau. So Esau, who was the eldest son of Isaac, was supposed to be the third possessor to the family estates. But Jacob's mother played a trick and she very cleverly made or helped Jacob to become the third possessor to the family estates. So it is because of the cunning trick that was played by Jacob's mother that Jacob became the third in the line of heirs. So when Shylock tells about Jacob, Antonio inquires of him that what about him? Did he take interest? Okay. Antonio says, what about him? Why are you telling me about Jacob? Did he take interest? Shylock says, no, not take interest exactly, but mark what Jacob did. So he tells Antonio that we cannot assuredly say that Jacob take interest directly, but he tells Antonio that Antonio must take note of what Jacob did. And then he goes on to narrate the story of Jacob and Laban. He says, when Laban and himself were compromised, that all the inlings which were streaked and pied should fall as Jacob's hire. All the inlings. What is the meaning of inlings? Inlings means newborn lambs. Streaked and spiked means those lambs which were born with the fleeces of two different colors, or those newborn lambs that were born with the spots and stripes on their body. So here Shylock makes a reference to a story in the Bible. According to that story, Jacob, who was the son of Isaac, he went to serve his uncle Laban. And when he went to serve under his uncle Laban, and his job was to take care of his uncle's flock of sheep, at that particular moment an agreement was reached between Jacob and Laban. According to that agreement, all the newborn lambs that were born with the spots and stripes on their body would fall into the part of Jacob as his wages for his services. So, in lieu of his services rendered to his uncle, Jacob would receive all the newborn lambs that were born with the spots and stripes on their body. This was the agreement made between Jacob and Laban. Now, during the breeding season, when the ewes and rams were attracted towards each other. Now, ewes means the female sheep, ram means the male sheep. So, when during the breeding season, when the ewes and rams were attracted towards each other, Jacob very cunningly he placed wooden sticks in such a position that the shadows of those sticks could fall on the sheep. So when the ewes and rams were copulating, they were indulged in their natural sex intercourse. At that particular moment, Jacob placed wooden sticks in such a way that the shadows of those wooden sticks would fall upon the sheep. And the ewes were so much influenced by those shadows when they were conceiving that all the newborn lambs that were born with spots and stripes, and thus they became a property of Jacob. So this way Jacob became rich, became wealthy, and he succeeded in his life. And Shylock says that the thing that Jacob did was a way to succeed, and thus he was blessed. And according to Shylock, any thrift, any type of profit is a blessing if men steal it not. If men do not get that profit through unfair means, then it is a blessing to them. So thus Shylock tries to justify his charging of interest by narrating this particular story, because Shylock too was lending out money by charging high rate of interest, and he was doing so to make profit. He was not indulging himself in any act of stealing or cheating other people. So he was lending out his hard earned money to people, and then he was charging high rate of interest. So therefore, according to him, that was a blessing to him. However, Antonio refutes the argument that is forwarded by Shylock. He does not agree with the Shylock, and Antonio says that this was a venture, sir, that Jacob served for, a thing not in his power to bring to pass, but swayed and fashioned by the hand of heaven. Was this inserted to make interest good, or is your gold and silver ewes and rams? So Antonio does not agree with Shylock, and he tells Shylock that this was a venture. What Jacob did was an enterprise for which Jacob had to work as a servant under his uncle. So he was rewarded because he was working as a servant under his uncle. And moreover, what happened, that is, by chance all the newborn lambs were born with spots and stripes. This particular incident was something which his power could not cause to happen. It was something which Jacob could not cause to happen. It was in fact something that was controlled and shaped by the hand of God, because birth and death is in the hand of God Almighty. So Antonio says that this did not happen because of Jacob. It happened because God wanted it to happen. So it was something that was controlled and shaped by the hand of God. However, Antonio could not understand that how could Shylock cite this particular example in order to justify his charging of interest. And then he inquires of Shylock that, are your gold and silver coins like the ewes and rams? Do they multiply? Do they increase in number just like the ewes and rams? Then Shylock says, I cannot tell. He is not sure whether they are ewes and rams, but what he is sure of is that he makes his gold and silver coins breed faster. So as a Jewish moneylender, his chief concern is to grow rich, to become wealthy, and therefore he makes his gold and silver coins multiply faster, increase faster. But note me signia. It is then that Antonio sarcastically points out to Bassanio He says, mark you this, Bassanio. The devil can cite scripture for his purpose. An evil soul producing holy witness is like a villain with a smiling cheek. A goodly apple, rotten at the heart. Oh, what a goodly outside falsehood hath. So mark you this, Bassanio. Antonio tells Bassanio to take a note of this. Okay. Note this. Even the devil can cite scripture to suit his purpose, to justify his purpose. Who is the devil here? Shylock. Shylock, being a Jew, is often considered too as a devil by the Christians. And Antonio says that it is indeed very strange enough that even Shylock, who is no less than a devil, can justify his cause by citing examples from the holy text of the Bible. And it is certain that Shylock is an evil soul. He is an evil-minded person who is giving forth holy witnesses, who is giving holy arguments, spiritual arguments in order to justify his charging of interest. And Shylock is like a villain with a smiling cheek. He is a deceptive person who should not be trusted. He is just like a cruel man, a villainous person who bears a smile on his face to deceive other people. He is just like a goodly apple. He is just like an attractive apple that looks good, fleshy, juicy from outside, but from inside it is rotten. It is rotten from within. And oh, what a goodly falsehood, outside falsehood. Even treacherous people, they have a very good and attractive outward appearance, just like that of Shylock. So this is one of the most recurring themes of the Merchant of Venice, that is, external appearances are deceptive. So Shylock is a villainous person. He is an evil soul who is evil from within and who bears a smile on his face, who can cite holy examples. So he is just like a goodly, attractive apple that is rotten from within. And this clearly proves that even falsehood has a very attractive outward appearance. Then Shylock begins to reflect. He says 3,000 ducats. It is a good round sum. Good round sum means 3,000 ducats during those days was no less amount. It was a substantial amount of money. And 3 months from 12. So that amount of money is needed for a time period of 3 months out of 12 months, that is out of a year. And you see, in money lending business, the rate of interest is charged annually. So Shylock had to calculate that what might be the rate of interest in this case, because the money is being borrowed for a time period of 3 months out of those 12 months. So he says, then let me see the rate. Then let me see the rate means let me calculate the rate, and he begins to calculate the rate. He takes his own time. However, then Antonio grows little impatient, and he asked Shylock, well, Shylock, shall we be beholding to you? So he impatiently asked Shylock, are you going to lend us the money? At this, Shylock grows little annoyed. And this particular speech of Shylock gives vent to Shylock's anger, and we also get to know as readers that Shylock is very much justified in taking his revenge against Antonio, or in deciding to take his revenge against Antonio. And here Shylock goes on to enlist some more reasons of his hatred against Antonio, that why he dislikes Antonio, or how Antonio has ill-treated Shylock in the past. So he says, Signor Antonio, many a time and often in the Rialto, you have rated me about my money and my usances. Many a time, on many occasions, Antonio has rated Shylock. Rated Shylock means he has abused and scolded Shylock for his money lending business and for his charging of high rate of interest. And on many occasions, he has humiliated Shylock, often at the Rialto, where the other merchants congregate for doing their business transactions. So Shylock has been humiliated in public by Antonio. For what reason? For his money lending deals and for his usances, for his charging of interest. Still, Shylock did not respond to it. Shylock did not react to such humiliations. He instead bore that humiliation like a patient shrug, like he bore that humiliation very patiently because he knew that sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. He knows that long suffering is the characteristic of the people of his tribe. When he says this, he is referring to the general phenomena that during those particular days, the Christians who dominated the bulk of the mass, they always used to ill-treat the Jews. So the Jews were suppressed, oppressed, and they were alienated, separated in a Christian community. There were many injustices were meted out to them in the hands of the Christians. So long suffering is the characteristic of the people of Israel. And that is the reason why Shylock bore all those humiliations of Antonio very patiently without reacting to it at all. And on one occasion, Antonio had called Shylock as a misbeliever, as a non-believer, a heathen, and a cutthroat dog. Who is a cutthroat dog? A person who is very merciless, murderous, is addressed as a cutthroat dog. So Antonio had called Shylock as a non-believer, as a murderous and a merciless person, and he had also hurt the religious sentiments of Shylock by spitting upon his Jewish gabardine. Okay, so Jewish gabardine is the long loose cloak that is worn traditionally by the Jews. So this dress is the traditional dress of the Jews, and the Jews are sentimentally attached with that dress. So Shylock's religious sentiments were hurt when Antonio had spit upon his Jewish gabardine. And why all those injustices were meted out to Shylock by Antonio? Why did Shylock used to scold and abuse? Why did Antonio used to scold and abuse Shylock often in the public? Why he used to spit on him? Why he used to call him as a merciless and murderous person? Why did he used to make Shylock suffer, okay, and hurt his religious sentiments? Okay. Only for the reason that Shylock was using something which was his own. So he was doing all these things only because of the money lending deals of Shylock. And when Shylock is lending out the money, he is putting into use something which belongs to him. So Antonio has no right to decide that what should be the rate of interest charged by Shylock. Shylock should have the liberty to decide that what should be the rate of interest charged on that money that is lent out to other people, because that money is the hard earned money of Shylock. So Shylock in fact inquires of Antonio that was Antonio justified in treating Shylock in such a way only for the reason that he was using something which he had earned by his hard work. Well then, but now the situation is completely different, because now Antonio, the same person who had treated Shylock in an unjust way in the past, has now approached Shylock because he is in need of his help. So he says, now the situation is different. Go to them, you come to me and you say. So he tells Antonio that if you need money, then come to me and say, Shylock, we would have monies. Request that we want money from you. You say so. He is asking Antonio that say so. Request, now only request. You that did void rheum upon my beard. You are the same person who had spit upon my face, who had spit on my beard. So Shylock is reminding Antonio that how unjust he was in his treatment towards him in the past, how he had spit upon his beard in the past. And on one occasion, he kicked him out of his house just like a person kicks out a stray dog from his doorstep. So we won't allow any stray dog to enter into our house. The moment we see a stray dog at the doorstep, what do? We shoot that dog away. We kick that dog away. So same way, Shylock was kicked out from Antonio's house as if he was a stray dog. And now Antonio has come to him because money is his request. He needs money from him. Okay. So Shylock says that what should I say to you? He speaks in rhetorical questions here. that now since you have come to me asking for money, what should I say to you? Should I not say, hath a dog money? Should not Shylock ask Antonio now that why do you come to me for asking money? Can a dog ever lend you money? Can a dog ever have money with him? How can a stray dog lend you 3,000 ducats? Or, he says, shall I ask this? Or, just like a servant, like a slave, I should bend down before you and with a voice, suppressed voice, like a slave, with humble politeness and with bated breath, with anxious breath, should ask you or should say you, sir, you spit on me Wednesday last, you kicked me out of your house on such a day, and another occasion you called me a dog, and for all these courtesies which you have shown to me in the past, I would lend you 3,000 ducats. So do you expect me to say this? Obviously not. The answer is obvious. That Shylock will now be annoyed, and he has the right to ask Antonio now that how can a dog lend money? Anyway, it would not be justified that Shylock should bend down like a slave and with bated breath and with humble politeness ask Antonio or tell Antonio that, sir, you had spit on me Wednesday last, you kicked me out of your house on such a day, and for all these courtesies which you had shown to me in the past, I shall lend you 3,000 ducats. Do you want this answer? So Shylock is giving vent to his anger, and Shylock is trying to make Antonio understand that how unjustified Antonio was in the past in having treated Shylock in such a way. So today we'll be doing till here only. In the next class we'll be continuing with our discussion. Thank you and stay blessed.